Namaste, hello, and welcome everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. If you don't know me, I am Sunita, the host of Nepali Tech Mom, and today I am with a guest. His name is Manish Bhattarai. He is working as a research scientist in New Mexico, and I am really very thankful for him joining today in my podcast to talk about his journey, what he is doing right now, and his work experience in a research scientist. So I want to
Hey,
welcome Manish ji. Namaste, Manish ji. Thank you so much for
Namaste.
accepting my invitation.
Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
Let's start with the brief introduction of yourself. So can you just give us a brief introduction of yourself to the audience?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Hi everyone. My name is Manish Bhattarai. I'm currently employed as scientist at the Los Alamos National Labs. I came to US back in 2014 as a master's student, and I did my master's and PhD from University of New Mexico, chemical engineering. And while I was pursuing my education, I got the opportunity to join as an intern. And since 2019, I've been working as an intern and a postdoc, and I have been working in the last 3 years. I'm mostly field for trustworthy AI, making the AI more safe, sustainable, and trustworthy, and we work on applying AI to solve different problems in the field of medical science as well as different national security.
Thank you so much, Manishi, for your brief introduction. So, can you share us this experience, like when you are here, right? What initially when you came here as a immigrant students, how do you feel? And can you share something about, like, is there any challenges you faced? Anything you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, definitely. So, I like to trace a little back, like my academic journey basically. So I did my undergrad basically from India, so a little bit far away from the home. So I was kind of used to, like going to a different place and kind of getting to know the different culture. And so, that's why it was not sort of cultural shock for the first time when I came here, because I was already used to meeting the new people, new places, and interacting and finding things in common. So as I finished my undergrad in India, I came to the US to pursue my master's. And yeah, at the beginning, the language was not that much of a barrier, given that I already was used to communicating with folks in English back in the India. The one thing was a little bit, the difference in the communications, accommodating to the different culture here in the US. Um, so the other thing I like to say is, the academic culture, right? So back in the Nepal or India, basically we have a different setting, like where we spend most of our time in the university, where we attend classes from 9 to 5. However, in the US, we barely go to the school for couple of days, and we spend like a couple of hours, and most of the time is invested in on self learning, trying to get used to to basically learn on our own, and exploring ourselves. I think that was the biggest difference I did feel when I come to the US, compared to the education system back there. That's why, since we are able to invest more time on us, that provides an opportunity to to self growth, and how we can, develop skills of critical thinking, and exploration, and that kind of skills help me to be better at my research career basically.
Yeah, that is really very great. Like you are already far from the home, right? So
Yeah.
how about your childhood? How was your schooling? How was the thing? Like you want to share something about that? How was your
Yeah,
school
yeah.
days?
Uh, yeah, definitely. So, it's pretty interesting question, because I would like to tie up with how the motivation on me came to be an engineer and stuff as well. And it has heavily, kind of, there is a background that is associated with that, and I'm happy to say that. So, I used to be pretty notorious, and I used to basically try to, dismantle, the radios and televisions, trying to understand the mystery behind, right? Like how the system really operates. And as a part of that, I got into a lot of troubles basically sometimes. And once, I made the TV to malfunction and stuff operating. So because of that, my dad, took me to the TV repair shop, where I got an opportunity of the TV service person, dismantling and diagnosing the issues, and basically replacing the chips and stuff, right? So as a part of that, I did have a question on him, like, hey, what causes the system to malfunction, or how this thing basically operates. And the person basically says, he is not trained to do that, right? And that sort of, like intuition kind of drove on me to say that, okay, definitely I need to be an engineer if you really want to have a good understanding on something that I'm currently passionate about, right? And that's how, like that's where I got the real feel of like, okay, I need to go to the engineering field. And as part of my schooling, I was more invested into like math, science, and mathematics so that I could lay down my foundations to prepare myself to go into the field of engineering, right? And during the part, also I was more interested into like modern physics and like more into like more to lay up the foundation on the electronics basically. And then once I come to the undergrad, I did my undergrad and bachelor's of electronics and communication engineering, and that I got more hands-on experience of trying like learning more in depth about like the underlying the electronics and stuff like that, right? And also like we also had a hands-on team where we used to work on robotics and basically autonomy, like so that we could automate the stuff basically. So yeah, so during the undergrad, that's where I really got most of my queries resolved. That was a part of my childhood. And once I was used to that, and the next question like was why, right? So is it like we mostly work on like trying to build something, but there is no real innovation that comes like saying that why things work, or like what the underlying the theoretical foundations behind how the systems work. And that's why I that kind of motivation led me to pursue my like higher education, coming to US on like masters and PhD. And that's where I further enriched standing with providing better like mathematical foundations and physics to understand like how things really work. And that's how it helped me to get into the
So currently you are in the research center. So how is your work? How your day-to-day job looks like? Can you just share us anything?
Yeah, definitely. So when I first joined, the lab as an intern, I was like, tasked to basically work on some tools that could be useful for like, factorizing like the very large scale data sets, sort of like data mining, so that we could find useful patterns that is, necessary for different like, national security applications. And, as a part of the, uh, the intern or like the postdoc, I was mostly mentored by someone, and they used to like kind of dictate like what I need to work and stuff, right? But this stuff, like I have my own team basically, so I have a group of like students and the postdocs who work together with me to like solve different problems on the as I say like trustworthy AI, like trying to see how we can make the recent AI systems more safe, like towards any kind of attacks or hallucinations, and also to how can we apply these AI tools to solve different problems on the biology or like material science and different national security applications. So yeah, so most of the time, at the lab as a scientist, we tutoring and mentoring our like students and postdocs, brainstorming with them to come with the ideas on how can we solve the problem, as well as like how can and as part of that process, like we need funds, right? The way how lab work is the same as the academic setting, where we need to apply for the proposals for grants, we get funded, and that's how we get the money to basically hire people basically. And as a part of that's why as a part of the staff, I need to we need to write some proposal together, submit to the funding agencies. Some gets rejected, some gets accepted, and once we have some acceptance, we can like hire other people and grow our team so that we could work on a specific tasks. And one more thing is like collaboration, right? So the work of a scientist is also deeply rooted in collaboration, because if you want to really solve some tasks, a person may not have that all the expertise. So we have a group of people at the lab who have their own sort of expertise, and we collaboratively like combine our ideas to solve like specific tasks. So that way like we get this kind of enriched in terms of like uh, collaboration and leadership skills at the lab.
What do you think? The people like or the students who are trying to become as a scientist, right, research scientist, do you have any advice or the any suggestion for them from your side, like experience wise? Can you share
Yeah,
something for them?
definitely. Yeah. So one thing I want to point out is like how the environment at the research differs from the academic setting, right? So when we go to the school, basically, like, like for our bachelor's, undergrad, or PhD, most of the time, like we have some coursework, like we learn this stuff from that, and then like our exams are basically sort of like to give some response that someone validates upon something, right? However, in research, like this is like an open-ended question, so we don't really have the solutions for them, right? So that's the biggest challenge, like if you are good enough, to find the solution to these questions, then our research is successful. But most of the time, it goes in like it takes really long time for people to even find the solution to their goal. So a lot of people basically give up because of that. So definitely, to be a scientist, I think the most important part is like perseverance and really stamina to keep working on this stuff until you find the solutions. And although we're gonna have like a lot of the instances where things won't work, but we learn from our mistakes. Um, so basically, we leverage that to find the right direction to solve the task basically. So yeah, as a whole, so when I'm basically mentoring the students, like I basically give them the tasks to solve, and give some foundation on like, okay, you need to, and we let and basically letting them to figure out like, okay, how they're gonna like solve this black box issue that they're tasked to do. And like, and as a part of this process, the mentoring here basically means that we go back and forth. So they might have some issues, or they run into like some like technical questions, like on implementing this, and they back to us, and basically based on experience we guide them how to solve the task basically. So it's a two-way process.
Thank you so much for your advice for the people who want to join the research scientists. They know about a little bit about your experience. They can get some help from this video as well. So one question I have in my mind while you are talking about that, right? So how do you handle failed experiments or unexpected results?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, right, as a part of the research, a failure is a
Mhm.
common thing. So people, who come to the field of research, this will not really, get, um, you know, give up. This will not give up, or like you kind of really feel frustrated, because it's a common scheme that it's a recursive, like keep trying until you find the common goal, right? So even as a part of my, going back to my PhD, there were like instances where I didn't have a good solution like for months, and my advisor, he used to be like, kind of really mad about like, hey, it looks like you are not doing any stuff, right? And there are such moments where, things can kick in, people can get frustrated, they might leave research, but the real, the real perseverance that you have, that you keep at that phase is what, gives you a good solution. And yeah, so, it takes a long time, to get to have the failure kick in, but there are like certain moments where, like things really work out of nowhere, right? So the success is unexpected, but failure is most expected. So that's how the research is, right? So so yeah, going back to my PhD, to like the lab setting that I'm currently in, definitely failure is something we are used to, and we don't really get like surprised when we see failures here and there every time, right? The only challenge is that the funds that we have to do the research, they are time limited, right? So we have only like a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, to deliver to like what to deliver like to what we subject. So what we do is like, when we propose something, right, and if things don't work, so we always need to have like plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, so that like, when things don't work out, we could find like optional, like the alternative paths to find the solution. The other thing is that, the one is a researcher, we should also accept when things don't work, right? And uh, we should believe that there are certain things we know and there are certain things we don't know, and we should not hesitate to ask or collaborate with the folks who are expert in their field, get some expert opinion, and then devise a pathway like how can come up with like to find a solution for something that works, right? So that's based on my experience. Yeah. So if you just like as a solo researcher, it's gonna be really hard or like difficult pathway to get something working. But collaboration is the tool that provides or empowers us, to have people from different like expertise realms, and by combining their knowledge, and we can basically accelerate the pace of research that we can basically do.
So yeah, so how do you communicate for finding with the public? So how do you get the communication, and how you can get the funding? So you need to uh how's the technique like? If anybody wants to know about this, then can you just tell me how we can
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah. So, so basically when we are in an academic setting, we have learned some, like some in-depth understanding of like the underlying science and stuff, right? Now, if you really want to pursue the funding, we should be able to leverage the tools, or the theory that we have learned to apply to solve some real world problems, right? So firstly we need to identify what are the the problems in the world in the field of like science or like anything that has not been solved yet, right? So that's what is the most important fundamental part that we need to basically identify. And once we have identified that, the next thing is like, okay, how are we gonna leverage the knowledge that we have to solve the problem basically, and whether it's tangible or not, right? So once we are confident that that's something that we can deliver in the time frame, then we need to put together like a proposal, like that basically states, okay, this is the problem and this is our proposed solution, right? And basically circulate around and share and like share with a couple of the colleagues who can basically say, hey, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, and based on this feedback mechanism, we can basically strengthen the proposal. And also there are already people who has been successful in in getting the funds and stuff, and also we can reach out to them and basically get their inputs, and this is how we can get better. And again, as a researcher, we should not be surprised if like funding doesn't go through in the first phase. It's a like learning experience. And even from from my side, I have been successful in like receiving a lot of a lot of grants like in the last couple of years, and I do have a good portfolio of like having more than like 2-3 millions in funding. But that I have come to that stage, with a lot of failures in the past. So, you keep trying as an early career, for first couple of years, and that's how you learn, okay, I should write the grant this way. This is what they expect. And also, although we are scientists, we try to kind of, make things complex, to present the ideas to others. But the general public or the people who are the ones looking at the proposals, they may not have the good understanding on the field or domain, right? So we would really need to dumb it down and make it as simple as possible, and definitely say like, what is our like ultimate problem that we're trying to solve, right? And try to convey our methodology in a simplest form so that it's like understandable to them as well. And that's how, like once they're convinced, then they will recommend for the funding. And yeah, so and yeah, once we get the funding, the next thing is like, how can we make it successful? So we need to deliver, right? And we need to show that, hey, you give me some funding, here is the results, this is how I'm able to show that, hey, whatever the money you have invested me in, you have the return of this investment. And that's how as we keep demonstrating that, then the future chances of getting funded also keeps on improving basically. So that's my general experience based on the grants and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is really very good, good explanation that you have just given, because
Mhm.
most of the people are just don't know how to get the funding and how to connect with the people. So yeah, thank you so much for that brief like explanation. That
Mhm.
really helps a lot for the people who are just joining as a scientist, right? Besides day to day work, what you are interested on, what is your hobbies?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as we mostly invest into lab and do a lot of coding and stuff, we kind of get burnt out, right? So definitely we need some break in life. So basically, I live in Albuquerque. So Albuquerque has a lot of outdoor activities. Like we have the mountains, we have the rivers, and I have like 2 dogs. So basically we go on like, hiking almost like every day for like an hour or two. And also I go on like biking, like mountain biking and stuff. So yeah, like given that we have some outdoor stuff to do, that's like a refreshing moments that kind of give a take away from the computer and just like chill on the nature, right? So the one more thing I really like about the being the nature is that sometimes we are stuck in the work, right? But when we go to the outdoor, like since the work stuff gets stuck in the head, like we can do some open thinking, and that way like we can also find some solutions for the stuff that we have been stuck with. So yeah, I really like this cool blend of like being like in the lab setting and then going outdoor to chill and get some fresh air so that we can think fresh mind, like how to like solve things basically.
Yeah, after going to the nature, the fresh airs and the walk and the hiking makes us reset our mind.
Stuff.
So, anything that you like the most and dislikes you have, can you share that
Yeah,
one?
definitely. So one, because as myself being like an international student, like who came to the states to achieve my dreams and stuff, right? So one thing I find is like a lot of people when they come here, they get like carried into like just like following the coursework, getting into grades and stuff, right? So they don't really try to understand like the foundation principles, like just like they want to just apply techniques or like try to like solve try to just like complete the coursework and stuff, but they may not necessarily like would like to know like, okay, why things work, right? So if you really want to like prosper in life or like think in a really innovative way, from the beginning itself, you need to really need to understand like the foundational principles, right? So like trying to basically like understand like why things work, why they don't work, right? So try to think logically from the beginning while you are basically like at the early stage, because that's when you have the capacity to take a lot of stuff, right? So if someone like thinks in that way from the beginning, from their undergrad or grad level, and that's how they can increase themselves in the fundamental understanding this year, and those are the tools that is really required to become a scientist. Because once you pass that stage, then you may not have that energy to go back and like kind of really dig in to understand the foundational principles. So it's really important to stay hungry back from the beginning to really like get to understand this stuff. The next thing is basically is also being a team player, right? So your success is also equally tied the ability to collaborate. So if you don't know something, feel free to reach out to the other person who might be next to you, and they might be good at something that you may not be. So one should always be open, like rather than feeling insecure of like kind of exposing people, okay, what I don't know and stuff. You take it as an opportunity and to showcase that what you are good at, and basically ask the questions to the next person, like if they know about something, right? So that's way you can learn how to collaborate from that the phase itself. And the next thing is basically be persistent, right? So research is basically like a marathon full of challenges, and we see failures all the time. So definitely, if you really want to excel in a like research setting or like one industrial setting, you should know how to be persistent, how to like think critically, and especially when you see a failure, rather than giving up, how can you basically come up with like like alternate plans so that you could excel and address those challenges basically.
Yeah, that is really very good points that you have just mentioned. So the team leader, right? Or we need to be in a teammate, like in the team we need to be active so that everything we can do it. That is also a good point. And also the persistent, yeah, really very good point that you have just mentioned. And it maybe help other people who wants to be a research center. They should know about it before joining that course or the scientist, right? So yeah, thank you
Yes.
so much for sharing that. And so one thing I want to ask you, so what misconceptions do people have about the scientists? Do you have anything you want to
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, even I think before I came to this field, back in when I was a kid, like we have a common misconception saying that okay, they are like lone genius smith, right? They like to work by themselves. They are in some like crazy lab, like trying to do some experimentation or like trying to do something, and they don't talk to the rest of the world and stuff. So that's a common myth, right? That's what like the typical scientist basically means. And I think the real practical ways like no not like is far from that reality. And yeah, so we basically as a scientist, first of all, we don't work ours alone, right? If you just work yourself, it takes years to reach to the path. Like all the successful products that has been delivered in the recent world, it is based on the collaborative effort of like different people's. It's just not like a single person individual. Yeah, one person might like come up with the idea, but to execute that you would need a team or like of really the of collaboration across different experts basically. So that's basically like from my experience with all the achievements that I've done in my life. What I have realized is that like yeah, single-handedly it's really impractical to solve a given task. So always you would need to have a team collaboration, like and all that kind of stuff to get to deliver.
yeah, that is good thing that you have just mentioned. What's being your biggest discovery or the proudest moment being a research for till now? Do you have anything to share?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Yeah, definitely. So there has been multiple instances, I guess, where feel really proud about it. And one of it basically goes back to, as I said, when I first joined the LANL, I was part of this team, like where we were trying to, like build distributed tools to factorize the world largest data set, and we were able to achieve to do that. Like we, like so whatever the world largest data set, exists, we were able to factorizing the world largest supercomputer. And because of our contributions, we got something called R&D 100 award, and that's basically considered Oscars of innovation for research, right? So that what our team was basically awarded with. And differently, it was sort of like a proud moment, like where we felt we really achieved something in life. The next thing basically was like currently, given that Los Alamos is really a prestigious place which has the top level scientists around the world, and being able to work in such work environment and lead a team that is at the forefront of the AI in the lab, and that's basically also on the proud moment that the contribution that we are able to give to the country by like leading the efforts in the AI with the lab is also something that I'm proud of.
Yeah, congratulations for that award. Very proud to hear about that. So happy for that.
Mhm.
How does your work impact society or the scientific community?
Yeah, thank you. That I think that's really a great question. So at the lab, right? Like what we envision, or like what is the holistic view? As a scientist at the lab, is that we want to solve, or tackle the biggest problem in the country, right? So it might be in the healthcare, like from like identifying like what causes cancer, and can we basically provide, like the solutions, or like the tools that can help to fight against the cancer. That's like one of the scope that we are working on, and for that we use the AI, of course. And the second one is basically how can we basically, like discover the new materials that can be applied to different mission critical applications. That is the next thing. The next thing is basically, how can we build, really like safe and explainable AI, right? That has less prone to be hallucinated, or that basically, has less tendency to misguide the people by providing the accurate information and stuff. So that's something we also work actively at the LANL. So all the stuff that we are currently doing, it directly solves the biggest challenges that as a whole world is currently tackling, and we want to leverage AI to solve some of these biggest problems. Yeah, that's what we as a group do in our team.
So you are using the AI tools. So can you tell me about the AI?
Yeah, so basically, so when it comes to the AI, most people, in their head, this thing about ChatGPT, Gemini, and stuff, right? So currently, yeah, a lot of people, tend to use the AI, like to do everyday, like their everyday queries and things, like it is everywhere pretty much, right? But when it comes to the specific problems that we want to, like that we're interested in, the framework basically, it cannot handle the complexity of the problem that we are trying to solve, right? It really needs like a very high level of intelligence or reasoning ability to solve the tasks that we're doing. And that's why, like that's where we come in as a scientist, right? So yeah, for the mundane everyday tasks, AI are good to solve, but for the things that we want to solve, like the ChatGPT and those standard models, they are not able to solve. So our goal at the lab is like, how can we build a train such AI models that are able to solve the tasks that these ChatGPT and stuff, they are not able to solve. And that's what we work on, is that like how to come with that design, or like how to come up with the data set, that we can plug in with our AI models, that it will solve the tasks that the other AI tools cannot do. That's what our AI emphasis at the lab is, like to come with our own design and workflows.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense because as now the Chat GPT, Gen AI, they are doing whatever they are not giving us the accurate data, and also what we are asking, they are not able to give us, right? They are having
Yeah,
the one that is there is a like a there is a version to version as well, right? That is yeah.
yeah,
So I think there is a lot of other AI tools as well. They can be using that for maybe coming futures.
yeah,
So yeah, thank you so much
yeah,
for that
definitely. And
information.
maybe, yeah, and maybe one thing I like to add is that one thing that, okay, so AI good, they are not good enough, but still we can, make our frameworks base on their foundations. So what I mean to say is like, so in the current days, the agentic AI is like kind of dominant everywhere, right? Just to give an idea, like a simple idea, like what agentic AI means is that, let's say some like programmer is trying to like generate a code. So he prompts the AI model, okay, can you generate some code for me, right? And the AI system basically gives the code, and when the programmer tries to execute, he runs into the box and he gives back the error to the AI model, saying, "Hey, this is the error I came up with," right? So, and then the programmer does it iteratively with the AI model, the ChatGPT, until he gets something that's executable. And but the issue is like, since it requires a lot of iterations, it's really pretty, like it's pretty intensive, like, and requires a lot of human input. So in agentic AI, like a part of the work that we do at the lab, what we do is like we want to automate this workflow so that there are like these agents that can autonomously like do that back and forth themselves until they can solve a given task. So that's why what we do is like given a so the thing that we're interested in the lab is that, so let's say as a scientist I have some hypothesis, right? So we want these agents to, let's say, come up with like some set of like tools that they can leverage to solve these tasks, and basically they go on iterative, like execution until they can give a final result. So that's also some autonomous like scientific development workflow that we have been working at the lab as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is also good while doing like automate things, right? It will be
Yeah.
easier to get the results, and we can find compare the results as well, right?
Yeah.
Using
Yeah.
the AI tools, as you
Mhm.
mentioned. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is really very good information you have just shared with the audience. So thank you so much, Manishi, for informations. It will be really
Yeah.
helpful for the people who are listening to us or
Mhm.
watching us. So yeah, that's really very good. So we are in the end, so I just want to ask you a few questions regarding your like a future plan. If you have any future plan you want to share with the audience, you can go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. So, as I said, I'm still early career scientist at the lab who have studied like last 3 years, and I'm still like, trying to, make my team bigger. If people are really interested in the thing and they have really hardcore, like some research background in the AI, like trustworthy AI and like applying the AI to solve different tasks, everyone is welcome to apply. And, and collaboration and stuff, I'm always open to that. Definitely in the long run, like we want to establish ourselves as like one of the biggest AI group in the lab, and like want to be, have our name and stuff like by publishing different publication at the top tier like AI ML venues, and hope that like we get the recognition for the work worldwide. And that's what the reason that I want to share basically.
Yeah, I think that is really very good plan you have. So anyone who was interested on doing some research work and try to join Manishi, please apply. And how can we connect with you if anybody wants to connect?
Definitely. So I am on LinkedIn as well as they can use my, the email from the lab is spectrum at lanol.gov. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, or like if you want to like, contribute or collaborate or like apply. If you have any sort of questions, feel free to reach out, and like I'll be happy to answer to them. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Manisi, for your time today. It was
Yeah.
really very nice talking with you. Thank you, everyone who was tuning today with us. So, if this video is helpful, please share with your friends, families. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and subscribe my channel. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.